Hello, everybody, and welcome to a bonus episode of the World of Eora. I'm your host, Eric, aka Gingerino, and thank you guys so much for joining me today on the first of what I hope will be a long-running set of bonus episodes. It's a new thing for me, and it's hopefully a new thing for everyone here. Since this is the first bonus content episode that I plan on doing in a long-running way, I'm going to explain quickly what it is that's going on. If you've been following this show for a long time, you'll know that I release episodes every 2 weeks. So every other week, a mainline episode comes out. I try to make it somewhere between half an hour and an hour, but, with a little bit of variability in there. But I haven't been able to do content on a weekly basis, and that's something I've always wanted to do. But unfortunately, just from the circumstances of my particular life, I've never been able to make that commitment and know that I can stick to it. And I never wanted to say, I'm going to come out with weekly content and then disappoint you guys, the listeners who are into this kind of content. But it's something I've always wanted to work toward. And so I've kind of worked out a compromise with myself, is essentially I'm going to be doing bonus episodes every other week. And these bonus episodes are not going to be full-length episodes. They're going to be short. It's going to be about stuff in the world of Eora that doesn't warrant an entire episode. It's something I can talk about in 5 or 10 minutes. So it's something that's short. It's something that's its own thing, but it's still worth talking about. So if you're into the lore of Pillars of Eternity and AVOWED as it's about to become released down the road, this bonus content episode is basically for you to just get more into the world so that you can understand the stories and the history of Pillars of Eternity, so that you can understand more about the world that AVOWED is going to be played in, because that's what we're talking about here, by the way. If you're new to this show, the World of Eora is a news and lore podcast about the World of Eora, which is the fantasy setting for Pillars of Eternity and AVOWED. There's the quick thing I usually put at the beginning. And since it's bonus content, I'm not going to commit to you guys that it'll always happen. Like every other week, I'm going to have a bonus episode out. It might not happen. But if I have the time and am able to do so, I'll make a small bonus episode. I'll put it out. Boom. That's just more for you guys to have. So hopefully it does become a regular thing where I have a full-length episode one week and then a short bonus episode the next week. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the full-length episodes and do the bonus ones whenever I can. Does that make sense? I hope I explained that right without being too long-winded there. With that all said, let's dive into today's bonus content.
I'm curious. What exactly did you find there?
So today I'm going to be talking about a unique weapon that exists in the first Pillars of Eternity game called One-Eyed Molina's Gold-Fingered Spike Flinger. Say that 5 times fast. One-Eyed Molina's Gold-Fingered Spike Flinger. Okay, it wasn't as hard as I thought. This is a soulbound arbalist in the first Pillars of Eternity game. In a lot of RPGs, including Pillars of Eternity, you can get unique weapons and armor. If you open up the item in your inventory and you read the description for these unique weapons and armor, you can read about stories and lore that exist within the game. It happens all the time. So if you've been playing games like this and you haven't been reading in the inventory what your item descriptions are, start doing so. You can get a lot of great lore for it. I know I just added 100 hours extra onto a lot of your guys' playthroughs. Sorry about that. But this is a unique weapon. It's an arbalist, so it's kind of like a crossbow, except it's more badass and big. And it's soulbound. What that means is that the weapon is tied to you specifically. It ties to the soul that you have. So whoever is soulbound to this weapon, as they use it, make it more powerful. And that's kind of the whole point of the soulbound weapon, is that you give it to one person. You've catered that roleplay that they would have that. And the more you use it, the higher in power it gets. This is kind of how it goes. And then the higher in power it gets, the more lore you get. So with this particular weapon, the One-Eyed Molina's Gold-Fingered Spike Flinger, there are 5 levels to it. And so I'm going to be going through the 5 stages of this one arbalist, and we're going to be following the story of who I think will be One-Eyed Molina. Level 1. The dreaded Principe Senpatrina prowl the seas of the Deadfire, a persistent threat to the organized trading companies and outlaw smugglers to slavers alike. First off, the dreaded Principe Senpatrina, that is a faction that exists within the world of Eora. They are essentially a pirate faction, and they prowl the seas of the Deadfire. Deadfire Archipelago is a region of the world that is Eora. These pirates originated as refugees from Old Valia, which is another old empire in the world, and some of them continue to maintain the traditions of that land. Others are as brutal and as anarchistic as a group of freebooters have ever roamed the waves. So Old Valia it was a superpower in the world, but it's starting to dwindle in power, and that's kind of what they're alluding to here. And a lot of the people from Old Valia have now moved into this kind of open government pirate organization, some of which are just a bunch of crazy freeloaders who don't really stick to this pirate code at all. Due to the dangers presented by firearms aboard ships, many raiders prefer crossbows. The almost ridiculously heavy arbalist fires bolts with enough force to knock its victims from their feet. Gold leaf accents on the stock and stirrup differentiate it as a work of Valian engineering from more common crossbows. So there we get a little bit of the reason why pirates would like to use arbalists, because it doesn't cause as many problems to their own ships if someone misfires. And as well, we talk a little about kind of the Valian flair that exists. Valians, when they, in the World of Eora, when they make stuff, it's not good enough to just make the thing and make it well. Yeah, you gotta put some gold filigree on the side, or whatever. It spruce it up, make it look good. People gotta know if it's a Valian make. The rest of these levels 2 through 5, kind of have a poetic structure about them, and it tells the story of the bloody revenge of One-Eyed Molina. Level 2, the bloody revenge of One-Eyed Molina. One-Eyed Molina was born with 2 eyes, hang from the mast and call him rigging. Had them both still when she sailed for Deadfire, fill him full up until he is jigging. One-Eyed Molina from one-walled Palmina, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she, a queen of a captain and a hawser and capstan, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. So this first section of this poem, which I had to do multiple takes of that because I am not a good poetry reader, so hopefully that was okay and passable. Take it. We're introduced to the character One-Eyed Molina, was born with 2 eyes, but, apparently at some point not going to have them. We get a little bit of the origin story. Level 3. Two-Eyed Molina set out from Port Mage, hanging from the mast and call him rigging. Broadsided a trade ship and joined in the melee, fill him full up until he is jigging. One-Eyed Molina from one-walled Palmina, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. Ahead of the gallows she kept her fast fellows, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. Okay, so the story here, Two-Eyed Molina, not yet One-Eyed Molina, left Port Mage, broadsided a trade ship, and started getting into a fight. Level 4. Molina and Pharaoh cross steel neath the mizzen, hanging from the mast and call him rigging. Took her left eye and so half her vision, fill him up until he's jigging. One-Eyed Molina from one-walled Palmina, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. Any gent saw her eye saw, fell dead in no time at all, hey-ho, a hard lass was she. So Molina got in a fight with a dude named Pharaoh, or Dudette, don't really know. Pharaoh, they crossed steel, so they had swords, obviously. And so Pharaoh is a he, took her left eye, and then now she's One-Eyed Molina. I'm guessing, without having finished this, I'm guessing the hang from the mast and call him rigging, fill him up until he's jigging. I'm willing to bet that is One-Eyed Molina's punishment to Pharaoh, assuming she captures him or something. But we'll find out. The last section of this. Ropes around his ankles went up sad Pharaoh, hang from the mast and call him rigging. Away went her saber and out came her crossbow, fill him up until he's jigging. One-Eyed Molina from one-walled Palmina, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. She traded his obols for a quiver of cold bolts, hey-ho, and a hard lass was she. So there you have I'm very sorry, the spoken poetry of Pillars of Eternity, the bloody revenge of One-Eyed Molina. So it tells the story of One-Eyed Molina, a Principe Sempiterna pirate who left Port Mage, broadsided a trade ship, got in a fight with a dude named Pharaoh who took one of her eyes, so she killed him dead in a really intense way. And there you go. That's the story of One-Eyed Molina, and that's the bonus content for the day. So moving forward, this is the kind of thing that I'm hoping to offer on bonus content, is just taking these items and these objects and these things in the world and just talking about these little on their own pieces of lore that, I don't know what episode I would have fit that into. Possibly the Principe Sempiterna episode if I ever get to it, but there's also a million other stories of individual pirates from that place. So I might give One-Eyed Molina a quick honorable mention in that episode, but I wouldn't get deep into this one weapon like I did here. And that's what this bonus content is for. And there's a lot to chew through, so there's going to be no end to this kind of thing. And if you're into that, I hope you like this. And if you're not, well, next week I'll have a regular episode out for you. Thank you guys so much for listening to this bonus episode. I'll have one out next week. I've been your host, Eric, aka Gingerino. Thank you so much for listening.